Montpellier last year, great result for you. How do you view it 12 months on almost?
Is that a difficult question for me to answer? No, not really. No, it's still a good result. It was a good result then, it's a good result now. The bearing it has on this week is somewhat arguable because two teams are in a completely different position, completely different makeup, new coaches, different players. So yeah, it doesn't really have any bearing. I understand why you asked the question. For us, it's an exciting opportunity to go abroad, test ourselves against a French powerhouse team, and with a new coaching group. So there'll be obviously a bit of new coach bounce, which is always a difficult thing to sort of work out and fathom because things will be changing on a weekly basis from what you preview. So we'll focus on ourselves. We'll focus on our, making sure we bring the right levels of energy that we invariably do, and we'll enjoy the competition. So and hopefully build on what he started last week. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Your reflections on last week in terms of what you achieved, bonus point win?
Can't be any better, can it? So from that point of view, we're very happy with the outcome. Like every performance, always good to celebrate what you did well. Obviously, more-wise, we went exceptionally well. That was good to see that function as well as they do. And Dowie Lake, the beneficiary that he's mentioned once or twice this week. So that was good. But yeah, there was parts of our game that we still need to be better at, and that's the exciting thing about sport. There's always things that we can do.
Just housekeeping, would it be a similar sort of squad you take? Because obviously you rotated a bit from Benetton home and away. Will it be a similar squad to the one that played last weekend at home to Benetton?
Yeah, there'll be a little bit of changes in it, but yeah, predominantly the same thing. We're still waiting on a little bit. There's still a bit of collateral damage from last week, so we're still waiting on a little bit to finalise completely. But we've worked on the contingencies, if not. So yeah, we'll go with what we've got, and we'll try and find a way.
Anybody back or anybody out from last week? Definitely, just in terms of individuals.
Kieran Williams is close, but probably I don't think he'll quite make it. I think everyone else is pretty much there. Like I say, we're waiting on a few, and no doubt when you see the team, it will be obvious because the omissions will be obvious if they didn't make it, because there will normally be starters. So I can't give any more away than that at this time. But as I say, we're quite a Sunday game. We're blessed with an extra day's preparation this week that we're using to get better and hopefully prepare well. And it gives the boys that need the recovery, because as everyone knows, smaller squads putting the same load into people week on week is not ideal, especially with the injuries that we got. So we'll use the recovery day and the extra day's preparation to energise ourselves ready for Sunday.
And this competition, how are you viewing it? A couple of weeks now, a couple of weeks in January, away from the sort of, not the weekly grind, but the sort of week to week of the URC?
It's a different competition. Normally you have different opposition. Unfortunately, we have two of the same opposition, but that's just how it is. I don't think the fixture gods have been that kind to us, that's why playing, the French boys, Perpignan, Montpellier is exciting, and because it's different and change is as good as a rest, as they say. And we always say, we'll take Europe seriously and it obviously depends on, on your first result. If you get a good first result in a 4-game pool stage, you give yourself a good chance.
And final one for me, Toby, just in terms of this year, you've played a good brand of rugby, and it's fair to say your team off the field as well, the way they've sort of marketed the games, trying to get people there, watching it. Now, you had 3,000 there on the weekend. You can't be giving them much more. If they're going to see that game on the weekend, you'd be entertained. How can you get, do you think, people back, and it's not just the Ospreys, it's across the Welsh regions, back regularly to watch you, because you are putting on a product that's entertaining and you are trying to get people in the grounds?
I never thought, Gareth, you'd be quoting Gladiator at me, Look, all we can control is the evolution of this team and do the best under the constraints and resources that we have. So we'll accept the compliment, thank you, of being more attractive on the eye, and it's something we've been deliberate about, but we've taken time develop fundamentals of our game. So, yeah, all well and good. It's a shame. You know, we had a good crowd against the Scarlets. The time that the fixtures are, you know, makes a difference. You know, for example, Sunday night fixture in France is the most important one. So, you know, it all depends on what you're used to. But yeah, do we want more people to come and watch? Of course we do. We'll try and keep doing our bit, and hopefully, you know, if we stay on the film quotes, book them, they will come, and we'll see how we go.
Thank you, Toby. Good luck on the weekend.
Thank you.
Am I allowed to ask you if you're going to unleash hell in Montpellier?
I'm trying to think about how many quotes we can get in for this one. Yeah.
I'll leave it there. But you say it's a year on and so on, but as you walk into the ground and think back 12 months ago, no one gave you a hope. As you walk into those, you know, familiar surroundings, it's bound to do something for you, isn't it?
I think that, you know, what you referred to a little bit is expectation, right? If people underestimate you or there's less expectation, often there's an opportunity as an underdog to play well, you know. And we know that we can, you know, fight and be the best version of ourselves, and sometimes you get beaten by a better team. But the one thing I can say is we'll embrace the challenge for sure. That last year was an example of that, and we've got a group that will continue to do that and try and defy the odds, right? So from that point of view, we quite enjoy that challenge. And look, the expectation is on them. They're at home. Their budget is X, ours is Y. You know, I know that everyone will be talking about, well, they're not going very well in the top four. It won't matter. European rugby means it's effectively one-off games, cup rugby. It's a chance to get some energy and give people opportunity. You look at the people they sent last week, they'll freshen it up again this week, so there'll be a lot of energised players playing at home. With whether it doesn't matter what I say about it, with a memory, if I'm in their coaching team, I'm going to remind them what happened last time. So there won't be any smash and grab job. We're going to have to do it toe to toe, like we had to do at home the following week, which was a much, you know, the element of surprise, if you like, had gone. So from that point of view, we know what sort of hostility, and I mean that in a positive way, not in a negative way, the hostility that's coming our way. And it'll be a great opportunity for us to embrace that challenge. And for a lot of young players, it will probably be, you know, an opportunity to see how they can stand up to that sort of pressure. So there's lots of positives in it. But for us, Challenge Cup round 2, good result last week. Try and build on the same levels of performance, same levels of effort, see where it takes us.
And it kick-started you to a big degree last year, didn't it? Different competition, can it do the same?
Yeah, I think it can. We obviously started later, but we're in the middle of this onslaught of 13 games, which makes things a little interesting. So I think the energy it gives us to kickstart and to change focus and to keep going is definitely there. I think that you know, a lot was made of our Champions Cup stuff last year, which was right. This year, I think, you know, we've performed quite consistently. We haven't always got the result. So if you look at Benetton away, we lose in the last knock-ins there. Glasgow at home, last knock-ins there. So we've been there or thereabouts, even though it's a 50, you know, sort of like a 50-50 season, win and loss. So I'm happy with the consistency in performance, but we have to close the deal out, and that's part of being, you know, the team that you need to be. You know, and you can be the front runner, you can be the underdog. You know, Arsenal obviously choked last year after being in front for such a long time. They'll learn from that. They'll be more competitive this year, and learning to deal with those sorts of pressures is part of it.
And in terms of what's coming up, because you've obviously got this game, and then we're going into the derbies. It's quite helpful to go into the derbies feeling confident. It's a big time of year for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a massive period for us with 2 Christmas derbies, 2 Europe before, 2 Europe after, and obviously we've had 2 Welsh derbies prior to that. So this block of 8 games, if you like, is very significant on how you feel about your season, and we've talked about that. So yeah, we're just hoping that we can get enough players to get to the end and put a team out. But from that point of view, you know, we're excited about this part of the season, and often the euphoria of pre-season is just starting to wane. But we're actually really energised around this part of the season because we think it can, define how we're going to feel about the rest of it.
And finally, from me, all the Welsh regions are, picking much younger sides and probably doing it a little bit more consistently than in the past. Are you beginning to see now that we're, how many weeks it is into the season, actually those kids are developing in ways that, they wouldn't have done otherwise? I mean, James Fender's an obvious example, but he's not necessarily the only one.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example, born out a little bit out of necessity, and that's part of opportunity. But I think, I can't speak about other regions, but all I can speak about is ours, and I've had this approach from the start. So the people that we think of our old stages, like Morgan Morris, for example, he's been out Player of the Year for the Ospreys for 3 years because we picked him 3 years ago, and he was in that James Fender type levels of experience, Will Griff, Dowie Lake, etc., Ruben, so Matt Provorou, Rhys Davis, there's even Jack Morgan, who comes from a different region. That age grade, everyone thinks they are established players. They've not been playing that long, but we made a commitment, and I've said, and bore you with the same thing, we said we were going to grow our own, and that means that you've got to give them opportunity. And I think that, James Fender is, as you say, in that position as an example. We've got injuries, opportunity came for him, he's taken the opportunity, and now we know more about James Fender, which is great.
Thanks very much. Good luck at the weekend.
Toby, you said about Montpellier have been struggling this year in their own respective league, but they come in and they got a good win last week against Newcastle. But in the second half, Newcastle did seem to come back into the game, so that plays on the point of confidence within the side. How big is confidence going to be for both teams coming into this game, particularly your own side?
Yeah, I think nothing beats winning. Let's be honest about it. And it makes you feel good. So you come into work the next week with some euphoria, got the monkey off your back, call it what you want. So, confidence. If anyone could bottle confidence and sell it, they'd be a very rich person, as we know. So you have to celebrate, you have to infuse, you have to keep doing the things that make you confident. And I think that when you're having a difficult period in the season, they're a quality team, right? You look at the names on the sheet, irrespective of how they're performing and what results are. They're a very, very good team, very expensive team, but a very, very good one. So we expect them to be at their best, and that, if we underestimate them, we'll come second. So from that point of view, we see it as opportunity, as I've said about different aspects of what we do. They'll be buoyed by last week, no doubt. We were buoyed by our last week, no doubt. So yeah, you're going to get two teams in a competition where it's almost a cup final type atmosphere, because you only play 4 group games. So from that point of view, it bodes well for the form book goes out the window. It's really about who executes on the day, and they're at home, so that gives them an advantage. Their crowd will be behind them. We know that they're pretty well supported. So yeah, I think I'm more interested in our confidence and our ability to go and stand in front of them in what can be a hostile environment, and that's the exciting part for us.
And the try scored by Newcastle in the second half through their very much a massive number on the driving maul must give you a bit of confidence after scoring a few tries that way yourselves last week.
Yeah, well, we know we can maul. That's for certain. We know we can do that. Not just last week. Since when we talked about growing us as a game, it's been a fundamental part of how we've gone. You maul your set piece, and I make no apologies for that, because if you've got good fundamentals, you can, attack in certain ways. So look, I know that if I'm in their shoes, they're probably on some maul defence this week on the back of last week, and also knowing what's coming. But that's preparing their team. The challenge for us is, can we do it against better opposition that know it's coming? So, yeah, the key is to get into the right area of the pitch before you get to that. So we'll see how we go.
And finally, really, you've had a few selection problems perhaps now with different people playing well in different positions now. Is that kind of challenging? Is that a nice positive to have in training?
It is, yeah. I mean, I think, like you say, the collateral damage is mounting up a little bit. So a lot of people have played a lot of rugby and can't train at different parts in the week. So we're at the stage of the season, games sort of 8, 9, where the fractious nature of the collateral damage takes its toll, and that's the hidden aspect of not having deep squads. we can't get two teams to train against each other at the moment because in the right positions. But that's not new. That's been around for quite some time now. So we're creaking a bit, but like a lot of the Welsh regions. But we were, whoever puts a shirt on will give the maximum effort they can, and we'll see where it goes.